My dad just decided he's not going to pay for my wedding anymore. What I'm finding out is if you let your parent pay for your wedding, you kind of have to do it their way. Finally told my parents, I'm going to do this my way, and they backed out of paying for it. So let me tell you what happened. I have to give credit where credit is due. My parents raised me to be an independent thinker, and as an independent thinker, I've decided we're not going to do every single wedding tradition at my wedding. And that's where the fight comes in with my dad. It's the year 2023. Women are not property anymore, which is why I decided I would me down the aisle.
It's 2023. Women are not property anymore. Hmm. I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm not saying that. But when it's said like that, you know it's out of context. It's like when it has to be said like that, you know some out of context for my benefit shit is gonna happen. It's never like within context. Yes, women aren't property anymore. That's going to be like when you hear it in that tone, you're like you switch off because it's like okay, let's bend the rules or take something out of context to prove your selfish point right and also giving you props for being an independent person. You just have to give them props and like to force me to give you props just out of morality. And I'm just like, I don't even I because everybody does it this like everybody says no. Anyways.
To be given away. My dad was not very happy to find out why I decided the year 2023, women are not property anymore, which is why I decided I will be walking myself down the aisle. My parents
It seems to me you don't know what that represents when a father walks down his daughter down. I don't think you understand what it represents. It's it's a symbolic transaction of you know your protection is no longer the role is no longer mine, it's not your husband's. I'm not sure if you realize that. So it's not a chore, it's not like a casual thing, it's a symbolic thing. Anyways,
parents do not own me, and I'm not some property to be given away. My dad was not very happy to find out he wouldn't be walking me down the aisle. In his eyes, I'm taking away one of the most important parts of the day. Apparently, a first dance with my father isn't enough. My dad keeps going back to the point of, we've never treated you as property, why would you say that? He's also trying to say I'm discrediting everything him and my mom have done for me, which to me just feels unrelated. Like, I'm just not a fan of that tradition. I feel like he's been talking to his buddies because the other day he came back to me and said, well, if you want to be independent, then you can pay for it yourself. Which to me still feels like if you're not going to do it the way I want, then I'm not going to pay for it. And that just doesn't feel right to me. So, anyways, do we agree that my dad's being a complete jerk?
someone could complain about something that's worthy to be complained about, but they lose all right of sympathy when how will they complain, right? So it's like I did one and the other person did one, two, three, four, five, six, but let's not talk about the one I did. Let's talk about the six the other person did. Even though I might have made up four, five, and six, really and truly they did one, two, three means I can react any way which I want or think anything I want because you doing one, two, three, or you doing one, it kind of push what I did away, so what I did doesn't no longer matters. If that makes sense, and then you exaggerate four, five, six. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. If he has to pay, well, I've been saying that a lot these days. If he has to pay, don't you think he has a say into something? Not everything, obviously. It's your wedding, not his. But if he has to pay, are you saying you should just take his money and run and not respect his input or his suggestion? I'm not sure a lot of people understand. This is not just females. If someone is doing you a favor, you are at the grace of them in whether it's in a small amount or a huge amount, you are in the grace of them. So if your father is giving you money for your wedding, you are in somewhat grace of him. And that's what men don't like because it kind of emasculate their being. But as a female, I feel like guys don't really care if you're like being provided for. However, you still at the grace of someone. And the modern slang for it is that you owe them back something or something like that. I don't really believe in that, but if I provide for you, something about me needs to be valued because I gave you some of my value. Something else needs to be valued on my end. I'm not saying I want money back. I'm just saying something. It needs to be some form of exchange of value. Giving away value for free does not make any sense. That's kind of like stealing. So I'm not saying you should give him money back. I'm just saying value something of him that's related to the transaction or related to the event. Like if that makes sense, like come on, man, have some decency, man.
Right now. Really hoping he comes around because there's no way I can afford this wedding if he doesn't help me with